So, peace, man. I'm gonna share this. Man, I talk about, Tupac a lot, Tupac. Man. Listen, man. I'm not a hater. That dude come to the D and put me in his business. He tried to set me up and put me in his business. I think, look, Tupac not dead, right? He not dead, and it's men that sit in jail today, men that were sent to jail that sit in jail today because of his actions. He started that whole Las Vegas stuff in 1990. That happened in 1996, right? And he started it, and so we still talking about it. People still talking about it today. But the dude not right, man. I don't. He not about peace. He too uneducated to get the knowledge. But he's alive in Stone Mountain, Georgia, with his mother and his uncle, for real. You know what I mean? But so in regards to his rape case, I'ma share AyanaJackson, excerpt of her, and it's a lot of people don't believe her. Tupac say she lied. Well, so he was convicted, and in his Vlad interview, Vlad puts up Tupac was convicted of sexual assault and was sentenced to 1.5 to 4.5 years. I don't know if that's right. I don't know. It could be all like Vlad could have done some research and found out that was his sentence, 1.5 to 4.5 years, right? So he did like almost a year, and then so they appealed the conviction, which you do with convictions, you appeal them or you get them overturned or whatever, right? So he appealed. Death Row got him out on an appeal bond. This is according to Death Row execs like Reggie Rice, Suge Knight, right? So they got him out on an appeal bond, and he had a return to court date when he was in California and Las Vegas. And so I'm going to say he had a return to court date while he was signed to Death Row to fight the rape case all over again, right? But he faked his death, right? He run up on Baby Lane in MGM Casino, and he started gangbanging. So his actions come back on, whatever, right? But he faked his death not to go back to trial in New York, right? So my thing is, you got people, Tupac family and friends coming out saying Tupac said he didn't do that. It didn't go down that way. Well, that ain't how the law works, right? If they feel he was railroaded or treated unfairly, and he has an opportunity, and so they gave him a second opportunity to present his case, that's what he should have did. But his whole family just saying like, no, no, he didn't do it. Well, if he didn't do it, you got to prove he didn't do it. Obviously, the county, the city, or the court, whichever office proved their case that he was participated in this rape and convicted him accordingly. See what I'm saying? So, but if his family feel that strong, they know it don't go. They know you don't go say no, I don't want to go back. Well, he wrong if he knew he wasn't gonna go back to court. So so he has absconded. He has evaded capture. He has evaded justice. That's a coward. That ain't this dude ain't real. If you ain't do it, and they gave you a second chance to prove that you didn't do it, why you ain't just go back to court? You see what I'm saying? So I don't I don't have to lie on him. I wouldn't lie for him. I don't got no respect for people and people that lie for him. You see what I'm saying? Well, why? If he the man like that, what you gotta lie for him for? You see what I'm saying? So, people don't like his victim. You see what I'm saying? But, you can give her a lie-detector test. Tupac, see, a real dude wouldn't fake their death on no rape charge. If you didn't do it, you can show and prove how you didn't do it. Everything she say, if you were telling the truth, could counter what she say. But he's not willing to do that, which shows to anybody with some sense that he's guilty. See what I'm saying? And I think she was hurt because he let it go down. She was confused and got in bed. She was like, wow, you gonna let your friends do this to me? People that's with you do this to me, right? I think once again, I think she is, she is watering down what happened. See what I'm saying? But if y'all don't believe her, ask her to take a lie-detector test, and if she is telling the truth, reward her. Financially reward her. You see what I'm saying? And then you can give a lie-detector test, and then probably, if you take that, and somebody could try to get Tupac back in front of the judge. You see what I'm saying? But he not ducking Baby Lane and no South Compton Crips. He's scared of the sexual assault trial, man. That's just fake. You know what I mean? So now I don't have no respect for the dude. So check this video out.
Here we go. AyanaJackson. Welcome to Vlad TV.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming in. This is a story that's kind of been in the hip-hop community for a long time. With the Tupac movie, your story was actually depicted in the movie. Did you actually see the movie?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get to that at the
Drinking. They were actually watching TV that was they had I guess they had a suite. There were two bedrooms, and in the middle there was a living room. So they were in the living room just watching TV. I came in, and they were like, "What do you want to drink?" I was like, "Oh, they were drinking like Absolute." We drank. They poured me a drink. Pop comes in, and he's like, "Hey." I'm like, "Hey," and we sit down on the couch in the living room, which was there. And I just remember sitting there. We were talking, and I was like, "Well, how was your day?" And we were talking about that. And I remember verbatim this. He had a scar across his face. And of course, now that I know it was cosmetic from above the rim. And I was like, wow, it looks so real. And I remember touching it. He was like, yeah, they did a great job. I was like, yeah. And he's like, yo, I'm tired. Come on, let's go. And I remember getting up and walking into another bedroom that was adjacent because the living room was between two bedrooms. And I went into the bedroom with him.
Okay, so at the hotel at this point, it's you, Tupac, Charles Fuller, the road manager,
No, no, no.
Haitian.
When we, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry.
No, no, I'm just trying to, all the people that are there in the room. So it's you, Tupac,
Mm-hmm.
Charles Fuller, right? Haitian Jack,
Mm-hmm.
and then Trevor and Nigel.
Yes.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people total.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you guys go into Tupac's bedroom, and then what happens?
So I'm massaging his back, and then he turns over, and then I'm straddling him, and I'm massaging, like he's facing me, and I'm, just like massaging his shoulders and so forth.
Okay, what happens next?
So after that, I'm massaging him, he grabs the back of my head, he pulls me down, and we start kissing. All of a sudden, because we were adjacent to the room, the living room where everyone was in. So it was very dark, it was very quiet. So all of a sudden, when the door opens, of course, there's light, there's noise coming from the living room, pouring into where we are. So as we're kissing, I go to turn around to look back around, and he grabs my head. And when he grabs my head to turn it back around, I hear people coming into the bedroom. I didn't think anything of it because I've been with I didn't think anything of it. And I thought maybe someone had left something in the room. They were coming to get something out of the room. No idea. And as I'm turning around, he grabs the back of my hair. At the time, I had braids. I had braids in my hair at the time. So at the time, he grabs the back of my head and he wraps his hand around my braids, and he turns me toward him, and he pulls my head down, and I hear people coming in. And at the time, I had a black dress on. I had a black, I guess, spandex back then. I had a black spandex dress on. And I'm hearing this noise, and I'm hearing these people come in the room. And he's like, "Relax, baby." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Relax." And as I go to turn around and look back, because he has his hand in my braids, I can't physically move around. So I'm looking at him while I'm straddling him, and I'm looking at him face to face. And I'm like, and I hear people talking, and I hear people saying, "Oh, look at her, and her ass is fat, and this and that." And I'm looking at him dead in his eye. And I'm like, "What's going on?" Like, like, "What's going on?" And he's saying to me, he's like, "Relax, relax, 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 baby. These are my boys. I like you so much, I decided to share you with them." And when he said this to me, I was trying to lift my head up. I was trying to lift my head up. And as I was trying to lift my head up, he still had my hair, and he was holding it. And then I was like, "No, no, no, no." And he was like, "No, this is no." And I was like, "No, I don't want this. I came here for you. I don't want this. This is not what I want. This is not what I want." And
Take a moment. That's fine. Okay, so at this point, other men have entered the room. And who are these other men at this point?
at this point, I would say it was Jack, it was Fuller.
Was Nigel and Trevor in the room or no?
Well, I keep going back and forth with the Nigel. I think Nigel was actually Jack, is what they called Jack.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. You're saying that's the same person. Nigel
yeah,
and Jack are the same person.
yes,
Haitian Jack. Okay,
yeah,
yeah, because when I was going through my notes, that part was kind of confusing because I know Haitian Jack was there.
yeah.
Okay, so that was the person that you knew as Nigel. Okay. Okay, so they come in, Pac is there, and he's, the situation is unfolding. What does Pac do at that point?
At the time, I'm on top of him. I'm straddling him. At the point where I feel, uh, and and pardon me, because at one point I'm there, and at one point I'm really not. You know what I mean? Like, as far as, at one point I'm there, omnipresent in my body, and another point I'm kind of looking down at myself because I can't believe this is happening to me. So at one point, my physical body is straddling him. He's there. I hear the voices. They come in. I hear my dress is being ripped. I hear this, but I'm actually physically still on top of him. He's still there in the bed. I'm still straddling him, and I'm still there. He's still holding me. He still has his hand wrapped around my braids. So I'm still there. He's still there. And they start to, and the thing I remember is I had I had black stockings, which we would call pantyhose back then. I had them on, and I remember them being ripped off. I remember my dress being ripped off. I remember all this happening, but I'm still on top of Tupac, and he's still there. So I'm still there looking at his face while all this is actually happening.
At what point does Tupac leave?
Um, the point where they're there, they're pulling off my clothes, my pantyhose, they're talking about me. Um, I actually straddled and had sex with Tupac that night while I was on top of him. Then he got up and he left. And uh then there was Jack, and then and then it followed after that.
Okay, so you had sex with Tupac with all the other guys in the room?
Yes, I was on top of him. Yes.
Okay, and the other guys were what, just touching you while you guys were having sex?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so then Tupac walked out of the room,
Right.
and then you had sex with
No.
Haitian
I
Jack?
I didn't have sex with them.
Okay.
And that particular night, I didn't have sex with him. I want to make that very much clear. You know what I mean? I didn't have sex with Tupac that night, and I didn't have sex with them that night. I was
Okay, so
raped
I
that
guess
night.
I'm sorry. So I guess I'm just confused. So you're straddling Tupac. The other guys come in.
I just see how when this guy could take his trash out, 10 or 15 girls is there. So I just couldn't possibly think of in my mind why he would be blamed with, raping her. And why that story would be just told over and over and over again. And that ain't fair. I mean, that's what I was saying.
Well, I mean, he got to tell his story while he was alive. He talked about that situation multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
She had never done an interview before on camera.
Right.
So we felt that, she had the right to tell her side of the story. And to be fair, when I talked to Man, who was Tupac's co-defendant in that case, after he had watched the whole thing, he said more or less what she said was pretty much what happened. There were a few things that were not quite right, but overall, it happened pretty much how she said it. And what makes it interesting as well is that, when she, the story she told when they were together. He left the room and a couple other guys came in and had sex with her. When she like afterwards, when she was like all upset, started accusing him of letting it happen. Instead of him saying, get this bitch out of here, if he had just calmed her down and said, hey, I'm sorry, hold on, let's go talk. Man told me none of that would have happened. None of the arrests or anything else like that would have happened if he had just calmed her down instead of saying, get this bitch out of here. And, you and I are old enough to realize that you do not let a woman storm out of your room angry. That is always going to be a recipe for disaster on some level.
Definitely.
But,
after AyanaJackson had accused Tupac of rape and he was locked up for that situation, is it true that she contacted you?
That's absolutely true. Yeah. I was surprised as hell. Like, why would you call me? I never heard of her. I didn't even know her name.
Right.
Like when she accused him of rape, I didn't know who she was. I didn't know her name or nothing. And she called me. And I don't even know how she got my number. Maybe she told me how she got my number. I forgot.
Right.
This happened while Pac was in jail. While this happened, Pac was in Clinton, Dannemora, upstate New York.
So he was already
convicted.
Okay.
He was sentenced. And he was in upstate New York at Clinton. I was going to visit him every month while he was upstate.
Okay.
So the phone call was either after I had just left him or was on my way to go visit him.
Okay.
It was timed perfectly.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Now that I think about it, it was timed perfectly, but I don't remember the details of what we discussed on that phone, like verbatim.
Right.
But the conversation went like this. It was about her saying to me, she was saying to me that her life was in danger.
Okay.
My life is in danger.
Right.
And I'm like, I suspect that it may be, you know what I'm saying? Because, you was dealing with people who can put your life in danger.
Right.
Okay? This all you was, and she said, and I remember asking her when she said that to me, I said, so that means that Pac did not rape you?
Right.
Or Pac did not tell you, you're saying Pac did not rape me? She said, no, I'm not saying that. She said, no, I'm not saying that. But my life is in danger. So like I said, I don't remember the details of the conversation.
Right.
What I remember is what I got out of the conversation,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
What stayed with me was that after I finished talking to her, I came out of that conversation thinking that, no, I know my cousin didn't touch you. That's number one. I know that. And I believe you had to keep that accusation alive,
right,
for the sake of your life.
Right.
Like you can't make the accusation and then have him convicted of the accusation,
right,
and then call me afterwards and say, no, he didn't do it. But then in the same sentence say my life is in danger. So what are you really trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell me that your life is in danger if you don't reverse your accusation, right?
Against
Tupac, right? Like
or against
the other people, right?
Right.
But they were never really they were charged formally,
right?
But they were never really tried for that,
right?
You did?
No, that's what I'm saying. So when she's saying this to you, what it kind of said, well, my life is in danger. If Tupac's already convicted for whatever reason,
right? That absolves them.
Yeah.
That absolves them.
Right. So, I'm wondering who, when she says that to you, just you telling that to me, what could that be? Could that be her in danger from Jack, from whoever else might be putting that kind of pressure on her, and her calling you to tell you that because Tupac is far from what we understand putting her life in any kind of danger because he's in Dannemora. Yeah, he's in Dannemora.
There's no way he can put her life in danger.
Right.
But none of it made sense to me. Because why would you call me to have this conversation?
So you think she was just shaking the bush, trying to see what she can get out of?
What I think was that this is what I think. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But this is what I think.
Right.
I think that she was trying to clear her conscience.
Okay, gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? But she was trying to play both sides of the conscience.
Okay.
You dig? She was like, well, I'm not going to admit that he didn't touch me because I said that he did.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not going to change that story.
Right.
But however, I will tell you that my life is in danger, and I can take from that you're telling me your life is in danger because you cannot reverse what you said about him.
Right.
You have to die with that lie.
Absolutely.
Pretty much.
Absolutely.
Now, I could be wrong. I don't know the young lady.
It sounds accurate. It sounds accurate based on what you're saying, because when you math, 2 + 2 is 4.
Right.
And like, I don't want to insinuate what you're saying, but when you say that she's telling you that her life is in danger, from what you just said to me, I gained the same thing that you're saying.
That's what you would deduct, right? That was your reasoning would give you that.